Ever wonder why royals were so weird about sleeping? From kings who partied at midnight to queens who refused to close their eyes, royal bedtime was pure chaos. Let's explore the strangest sleep habits that would make any modern doctor cringe. Here's something wild. Medieval kings didn't sleep through the night like we do. Instead, they had this weird two-part sleep schedule. They'd go to bed when the sun set, sleep for about 4 hours, then wake up around midnight for what they called the watching. And this wasn't just quiet meditation time, oh no, they'd throw mini-feasts, chat with their advisors, or even have intimate moments with their spouse. Some historians found records of kings signing important documents at 2 a.m. Then, they'd go back to sleep until sunrise. The craziest part? This wasn't seen as insomnia, it was totally normal. They called the midnight gap the watch, or dorveil, which literally means wake sleep in Old French. Speaking of royal sleep weirdness, let me introduce you to Louis XIV, the king who turned bedtime into a Broadway show. This guy had a massive golden bed that would make Fort Knox jealous. We're talking 24-carat gold posts, silk curtains, and enough fancy decorations to bankrupt a small country. But here's the kicker. Every morning and night, about 100 people would crowd into his bedroom to watch him wake up and go to bed. They called it the lever and coucher ceremony, and it was basically the 17th century version of a reality show. The higher your rank, the closer you got to the royal bed. Some nobles would literally fight over who got to hand the king his royal nightshirt, or help him put on his slippers. Talk about performance pressure. Imagine trying to avoid morning breath with 100 people staring at you. Let's talk about Henry VIII, the king who took sleeping like a king to a whole new level of paranoia. This guy was so worried about assassins that he had an 8-foot-wide bed custom-made, basically a medieval panic room with pillows. The bed was so massive it needed its own support beams, and he'd sleep right in the middle, surrounded by a small army of guards. But wait, it gets better. Henry would make his servants taste test his bed sheets. Yes, you heard that right. By rubbing them on their skin first to check for poison. He also had this wild rule where anyone approaching his bed had to bend their knees with every step, kind of like a weird bedtime dance. I mean, when you've made as many enemies as Henry VIII did, I guess you can't be too careful. You might think having your own bedroom is a basic royal perk, but nope. Kings and queens never slept alone. They always had servants camping out in their bedrooms. These poor folks, called gentlemen of the bedchamber, or ladies in waiting, had to sleep on small cots or mattresses right next to the royal bed. Their job? To be ready 24/7 for any midnight royal whims, from fetching a glass of water to reading boring political documents. Some servants even had to sleep at the foot of the royal bed like human guard dogs. Queen Elizabeth. I took this to the extreme. She made her ladies-in-waiting take shifts sleeping in her room because she was terrified of being assassinated in her sleep. Can you imagine trying to get a good night's rest while your boss snores 3 feet away? Let me tell you about Charles II, who basically turned his bedroom into a medieval pharmacy. This guy would try anything to get some shut-eye. His favorite sleep medicine? A bizarre cocktail of ground-up pearls mixed with poppy syrup and, I kid you not, powdered unicorn horn. Of course, the unicorn horn was actually narwhal tusk, but his doctors charged him a fortune for it anyway. He'd also rub special sleep oils on his feet made from crushed amber, fox fat, and something called spirit of human skulls. Yeah, better not ask about that one. When those didn't work, he'd have servants gently stroke his legs while musicians played lullabies on harps. Talk about high maintenance. Here's a bizarre medieval superstition that actually changed how kings ran their kingdoms. They thought sleeping on Wednesdays was bad luck. The belief started when some monk claimed Wednesday was the day demons were most active. Kings would stay up all night, holding emergency council meetings, writing letters, or planning battles. Some clever nobles used this to their advantage, scheduling important requests for those sleepy Wednesday nights when the king was too exhausted to say no. Queen Isabella of Spain even planned her biggest military campaigns on Wednesdays, believing the sleepless nights would bring victory. The tradition got so intense that royal doctors started prescribing special Wednesday tonics to help kings stay awake, mostly just wine mixed with honey and spices. Ready for the weirdest royal bedtime ritual yet? Kings believed their dreams were messages from God, so they created this elaborate sleep blessing ceremony. Before bed, priests would sprinkle holy water on the royal pillows and draw magical symbols on the bedposts. The king would drink special prophetic wine, spoiler, just regular wine with fancy herbs, and a court astrologer would burn specific incense based on the moon's position. They kept detailed dream journals, and every morning, a team of professional dream interpreters would analyze the king's nighttime visions. These interpretations actually influenced real political decisions. Some kings even delayed battles or changed laws because of what they saw in their dreams. My favorite part, they thought eating certain foods would bring specific dreams, want to dream about victory, better chow down on lion meat. You think your insomnia is bad? Queen Elizabeth. I took sleep anxiety to a whole new level. During political crises, she'd force herself to stay awake for days, pacing her chambers like a caffeinated cat. Her closest advisors would find her at 3 a.m., still in full makeup and those massive ruffs, reading state papers by candlelight. She was absolutely convinced that if she fell asleep, her enemies would strike. The stress got so bad that her ladies-in-waiting had to take turns watching her literally collapse from exhaustion. They'd find creative ways to trick her into napping, like accidentally reading her super boring tax reports or playing really soft lute music. But hey, maybe she was onto something. She ruled for 45 years and survived multiple assassination attempts. Want to know why royals were so paranoid about bedtime? Let me tell you about some close calls that changed everything. Take James I of Scotland. Assassins caught him in his PJs, and he couldn't escape because he'd sealed up a secret tunnel days before. Talk about bad timing. After that, royal bedrooms turned into fortresses. Kings started sleeping with weapons under their pillows, hired food tasters for their bedtime snacks, and even made servants sleep on their floor like human alarm systems. Catherine de' Medici went next level. She lined her bedroom walls with poison-absorbing tapestries and kept a pistol named Goodnight Kiss by her bed. These weren't just random fears either. About 20% of medieval royal deaths happened in bedrooms. Napoleon Bonaparte was the ultimate power napper of history. This guy ran half of Europe on just 4 hours of sleep per night. He'd crash anywhere, anytime, during battles on horseback, even in the middle of writing letters. His soldiers joked that he had an on-off switch instead of a normal sleep pattern. But this weird sleep schedule might explain some of his biggest military blunders. At Waterloo, he delayed the battle start time because he overslept, seriously. His doctors noticed he made way more mistakes when sleep-deprived, like that time he ordered an army to attack a mountain that wasn't there. Talk about a wake-up call. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through royal bedtime drama. Can't sleep tonight? Just remember, at least you don't need 100 people watching you snore. Hit like, subscribe and share if you want more bizarre historical tales.